What's going on, gamers? And welcome back to the Meta Report, the weekly show where we cover the meta of TFT. And guys, this patch is, it's not too great. We have this sorted by Master Plus and by pick rate, but coincidentally, the highest pick rate comp is also the best average placement comp, as you can see as we go through here. Yep, highest average placement, highest pick rate. Let's see if it also has the highest win rate, 17%. Okay, it does not have the highest win rate. At least we got that going for us because Piltover exists, as well as like 9 Noxus comps and that sort of thing. Okay, so why is this? Let's talk about this. If you guys played last patch before the B patch went live, this build was obscenely broken. And so what is the strategy if you guys want to replicate this? What is the strategy? What is the best strategy on this patch? And that is to play Twisted Fate Legend. The reason why is because if you have Twisted Fate Legend, you can get best in slot for the best comp because we have a comp that is definitely out of line of balance at the moment, which is multicaster. So you can go for your blue buff and you can go for blue buff Gunblade as BIS. And then also you just want to have really good tank items on Galio. The tank items might change a little bit. Last patch, it was Bramble and Gargoyles, but look out for some dequal slams and that sort of thing as well. But ideally, you want to get the TF items and then some really good tank items for your Galio. Slow roll on 6 for your 3 stars, 3-star TF, 3-star Galio, all that stuff, 3-star Taliyah, 3-star Vel'Koz. And you side carry Vel'Koz still. You can carry Sona in some spots. You can carry Taliyah in some spots. But ideally, you want to carry TF and Vel'Koz and then your main tank Galio. Occasionally, if you're very contested, which the game is going to be very contested a lot of the times, you can just play for 2 stars, play for tempo, push them, if the 3 stars aren't going to happen, just push for levels and make the strongest board you can. And you can top 4 on just 2 stars a lot of the time. So yeah, there's the build. And so why is the TF Legend so strong? Because you might be thinking, hey, just play with the angle. And I've said this a lot in the past too, because I thought general item power was pretty good. I do think general item power is very good. But the strategy really comes alive when you can guarantee best items for the best comp. But if you don't have the angle to play that, if you have a Noxus opener or a Bilgewater or an Ionia opener, then you can just do the alternative strategy of building an RFC because the best performing 4-cost carry right now is Mordekaiser. And if you don't have the angle to play Mordekaiser, then you can just play Nyla. If you have like an Ionia opener or a Bilgewater opener, or it just looks like a really good game to hit a Nyla, because you can just build 2 RFCs and a Rageblade if you're playing Mordekaiser. That's a very strong build. Or you can build 2 RFCs and a Giant Slayer. You don't necessarily have to have 2 RFCs. So another strategy you can do, especially if people are re-rolling, you can do RFC and a Giant Slayer. And then that third item could just be decided on which carry you decide to play, whether you're going for Mordekaiser or whether you're going for Nyla. So that is why that strategy is so strong. And that is also why I will not be playing the rest of this patch, unless the meta changes a lot. Because I do think there's a lot of room for the meta to develop. Even these stats have changed quite a bit over the past 24 hours. So I do think there's room to develop, but I do think the multicaster and Twisted Fate strategy, just Twisted Fate Legend strategy, is a little bit too strong and makes the game very, 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 very unfun to play. Now, there are some alternative strategies, and that's what we're going to talk about that a little bit. So look out. I do think some stuff will develop, but I don't think this Twisted Fate strategy is going away, which that is my least favorite way to play the game. I think it is so boring to have best in slot items every single game. And just, I have no fun in that environment. And I also don't have fun when I see 3 people in my game doing that. And I know that I'm just down some placements because I'm not doing that. That's not fun to me. Okay, so let's talk about some other builds that are performing. So the Vanquisher build is performing well, again, because you can guarantee, if you take TF as your legend, you can get the RFC, or if you just start especially if you're playing Placidium Library and stuff like that, like a lot of people will play this comp on that setup, or if you just have a great opener for it, or you have like a bow opener, you can just force into it without TF Legend. Still a very good comp when you have the opener, especially when you have the emblem. When you have the emblem, it is very, very, very good. Without the emblem, it's not as good. So there we have that. Some other things you guys can play. So Shurima Azir, this is actually pretty good. Now you might be thinking, is Urf really good right now? I think Urf is okay. I think Urf is okay because you can do Shurima. I think you can do Sork. I think it opens up Demacia. And I think it opens up Void as well. And maybe even Gunner if you have like the spot. But I don't think that's the best way to play Gunner. So if you guys want to play Urf, I think that is an okay strategy. But alternatively, a lot of people who are playing around Azir and Aphelios and that sort of thing, players like Bebe, A72, Korean player, they are taking Vlad, and I did this at the first day of the patch, and I was having some success with it. They're taking Vlad, and you take Transfusion pretty much every game. You know, if you have better options, you don't take it. And then you lost streak, and then you just have to hit your comp on 4-1, which is going to be an Azir variation. Now, you can play vertical Shurima. You can play 4 or 6 Shurima. There's also strategist versions that are good. I really like Azir's comp because it is very flexible in the ways that, you know, the outs that you want to play for it. There's also like, you can play like 4 Shurima, 3 Demacia. I like that version as well. It really depends on what you're hitting and how many emblems you have and that sort of thing. If you have 1 emblem or 2 emblems, I really like to fit in Demacia there and play like Fiora as a side carry with our Shurima emblem. I do like that. I think that's a cool setup. But get back to the Vlad thing is, you know, you take Transfusion and then you roll for either Azir's comp. You build a Rage Blade and tank items, and you either roll for Azir's comp or you roll for Aphelios. Now, if you have like a really strong Bastion setup, you almost always just go for Aphelios no matter what in that spot. But you can, you know, item hold Azir while you're waiting. And you know, if you're willing to play either, that can be a good strategy. So that is a strategy that some people are playing as well. We also have Invokers seem pretty good. I've been playing some Invokers. Invoker Karma is very good. I only play this if you have like the angle. I would not force this, you know, like we did last patch where we'd force this, because this is not as good to force because Soraka is not as strong. She's not as guaranteed to just win you stage 2, or I mean stage 3. So you can't just like lost streak stage 2 and then guarantee a win streak on stage 3 with a Soraka 2, because the comp is more built around Karma now and Neeko and Taric. So I think if you're like high rolling invokers, you have Loving Invocation, or you take something like Stars Are Born Caitlyn and buy Soraka, I've been doing that, then Soraka will win you stage 2, and you know, if you win stage 2, you don't have to win streak stage 3. So I take it in those spots, you know, when it looks really, really, really good, or I'm high rolling the build. And so let's also talk about the Stars Are Born strategy. If you guys want to play Caitlyn, you can do a couple things. You can do what I just did with that. You know, if you have a Soraka drop, take that. Cool. You can do like some reroll rogue tech. You could do some gunner tech with Stars Are Born. Although I think it's better just to play gunners if you have Piltover opener or gunner +1, and then that comp is very, very, very strong. As you can see, the win rate is extremely high for the gunner comp because a lot of times when you're playing this, you have a Piltover opener, which almost guarantees you a win, you know, if you actually maximize that. So anyways, yeah, Stars Are Born is also a decent strategy because you can play the reroll comps like Kale. I did that yesterday. It felt very good. You can do the Invoker thing that I was doing. You can play reroll Noxus is still fine, you know, especially if you're going to get those early 3 stars. You could do Cho'Gath with Stars Are Born if you have the item opener for it. You can do some like Cho'Gath Void stuff where, you know, you get an early 3-star Cho'Gath, you buy the Kassadin. That's a Stars Are Born strategy that you can do as well. And so let's talk about the Void reroll comp real quick, because I get people asking me about this comp quite a bit, because I really like playing this comp. I think it's really fun. I don't really usually like reroll comps, but it's just cool making the Rift Herald really big. So as you can see, this has a very low win rate. It's because this is a very good top 4 comp. So the ideal spot to play the Void reroll comp is if you have like an angle to play Cho'Gath 3, like you're doing Stars Are Born and that sort of thing. That is not the only circumstance you can play that build, but the way this build kind of works is that you backline your entire team because you want your Rift Herald to smash their head into their front line twice, and that'll usually kill their entire front line. And then your backline cleans up their backline because the rest of your front line is still alive because you still have your Bruisers and your Kassadin and that sort of thing. And the more 3-stars you have, the more stars you have up on Void units, the stronger the Rift Herald gets. And now, do you ever play Baron? Not really. Not really, man. Rift Herald's just better. And you can like fit in units like Fiora and that sort of thing. Now, if you have 2 emblems, totally play Baron. Great. But you ideally actually don't even care to play Baron because the Void, the Rift Herald is what actually secures you the top 4. And then you can play a lot of better units in your backline, you know, Fiora, Kai'Sa, you can play some Sona, that sort of thing, if you have some emblems. So it's typically better to do that. Now, if you want to play it without re-rolling like Stars Are Born with like Cho'Gath Malzahar, that sort of thing, you can just slow roll on 6 and 7. Ideally, you want to get your 2 stars on 6 to stabilize on your Rift Herald, especially if you have Void Emblem, and then go 7 and get your like Kai'Sa and Fiora. And so you can decide if you have the angle to 3-star, if you think you're going to 3-star your Vel'Koz and you want to carry him, then you can play Sona instead. But it's really hard to 3-star Vel'Koz right now. So I think it's best to just like try to 3-star your Kassadin, try to 3-star your Rek'Sai so that your Rift Herald gets really big, and then more so play for Kai'Sa and Fiora on 7. That can be a better way. Now you have to have an emblem to fit everything that you want to have. You can actually play Fiora and Kai'Sa without an emblem, but if you want to have Sona in there and then have the angle to play Demacia later, that can be something good as well. And you can kind of duo carry Kai'Sa and Fiora. They did get very good buffs on this patch, but remember the Rift Herald is what carries you. The other thing you have to have in this comp is you need an Ionic Spark. I normally just put that on my Kassadin. I put an Ionic Spark and healing reduction on my Kassadin, and a redemption is great as well. That's like BIS because you just want to back on your whole team, and then by the time your Rift Herald charges, your Kassadin will be next to your Rift Herald. Make sure Kassadin is positioned in the middle of your backline because he will walk up to the Rift Herald, he will shred for the Rift Herald, and the Rift Herald will headbutt their entire front line and deal a lot of damage very good. Other than that, Bruiser Cho'Gath, you guys should know how to play that. You can play that from Stars Are Born start or just whatever start, Golden Ticket start. Yeah, I didn't talk about, if you have Golden Ticket, you have a great angle to play Void reroll. Noxus Mordekaiser, this is performing super well, again, because this is the alternative way to play the TF Legend. That is when you want to play this, because you can have RFC, Rageblade, and that is very, very, very strong, especially in vertical Noxus, especially in portals like Placidium Library, that sort of thing. You can still play Noxus reroll, but it's not nearly as strong. On Noxus reroll, I think you just play for 3-star Samira, 3-star Swain. Now, if you can 3-star Cassio, that's great as well. But you need to get to the Mordekaiser. The Mordekaiser is what really takes us over the finish line. So I don't necessarily recommend playing this reroll, but there are some spots to play it. Rogues is still good in the right spot. As you can see, the pick rate is quite low and the win rate is quite low, but the placement rate is pretty good. That's because really just take this on like Wood Ixtal and you have like High Rolling Graves, or you have like Stars Are Born and your High Rolling Graves on like Wood Ixtal, whatever, or you have Vampiric Blades. It's very strong still with Vampiric Blades. And guys, the build still hasn't changed. You still build full tank on your assassin units. It's hilarious how bad this game is sometimes. Cool. We also have like Slayer Mordekaiser stuff that you can play. This doesn't require the RFC. This doesn't require best in slot. But again, Mordekaiser is best just utilized with the TF strategy right now. And those are pretty much the most dominant strategies. There are some like random niche comps you guys can play a little bit, but in synopsis, the best strategies to do on the current patch is TF Legend, and you go for the TF comp and be willing to flex by building RFCs when you have like the Noxus or Bilgewater or Ionia opener, and then looking to play Mordekaiser or Nyla if you're not going to go for the TF comp. Alternatively, you can also play like stuff like Earth and try to do these vertical comps with like Shurima, Vanquishers, stuff like that. I don't think that is super good, but you can also as well, when you want to play around like Shurimas and Bastions and that sort of thing, play with Vlad Legend. Make sure you take Transfusion, and if the rest of the lobby looks like slow damage is coming out, multicasters have very quick damage, so if there's a lot of multicasters players or rogue players in the lobby, this is not going to be good. But if there's a lot of other Shurima players or other Bastion players or other Invoker players or Sork players or whatever, depending on the Sork build, then also look to play Ascension whenever you're taking Vlad. That can be good as well. When you have Gunner +1 or Piltover opener, Gunner is very good. If you have like reroll augments, playing reroll voids, reroll bruisers is still very good. And yeah, that's pretty much the meta. And yeah, not a very good meta in my opinion. And I will be pretty much taking a break from the rest of the patch. But I will keep monitoring the numbers. I will pay attention a little bit to what's going on in tournament play this weekend to see if anything changes, because I do think there is room for the meta to develop. And so I will keep you guys updated if that does. Appreciate you guys. See you on the next one.